Hi, main recaps here. Today, I'm going to explain in 2020 Russian horror film called The Superdeep. Spoilers ahead.
The movie begins in 1984. At that time, Anna Fedorova, who was testing a vaccine on her research associate, Dr. Zodov. A vaccine goes wrong, which leads to Dr. Zodov's death. Anna feels guilty about authorizing human experimentation without first conducting any preliminary or animal testing beforehand. Colonel Morozov prevents her from ending the project as she would like. The soldiers in Africa need her. Giving up now would mean that her friend's death was in vain. Therefore, stopping the project wouldn't make her feel any better. Months later, Anna is spending New Year's Eve with her family and friends, who congratulate her for having come up with the vaccine so fast. Their dinner is interrupted when Anna receives a phone call from a Colonel, Morozov, who informs her that they need Anna for a special mission. There's been an incident at the Kola Superdeep borehole. Some noises have been heard and 20 people are missing. So the station has been shut down and will be sealed in 24 hours. There are a few mysterious voices recorded deep beneath the surface just before the accident of unknown origin. It was Colonel Morozov who assigned Anna to that place. According to one of the scientists, there was an outbreak of a deadly disease, so she was tasked with taking some samples and developing vaccines. They need Anna because the head of research has been accused of concealing information about an allegedly rare disease. Anna agrees and prepares to leave after Morozov assures her that she will receive full credit for the finding and get the job of director of the Military Biological Defense Institute. The following morning, Anna and Morozov, as well as a group of soldiers under the command of Major Sergei Mackey and his right hand Igorov, arrive at the station. A helicopter was used to transport them to the ice-covered facilities in Murmansk. As soon as they land, they run into their first issue. A U.S. scientist in a lab coat suddenly approaches their helicopter and refuses to obey Sergei's instructions, despite being shot several times. The scientist continues to head to the helicopter with a grenade in hand that he detonates as soon as he reaches the helicopter. He killed himself and slightly damaged the helicopter. The group briefly feels a buzzing in their ears, but they are all safe. While McKee teases her about her accent and tries to determine where it is from, Anna doesn't waste any time and heads over to the scientist's body to get a sample. But as soon as Anna closes the test tube lid, the sample turns to dust, and she can't help but notice that the body of the test tube has a strange red glow to it. A station guard explains that the scientists lost control as soon as he came to the surface, and that he was so powerful that even 3 soldiers were unable to stop him. Now that the rest of the staff are being evacuated, Anna goes to collect samples before they go. She is told by one of the men that everyone is dead down there, and that disease is a myth. She ought to head home immediately. All the miners seem fine, but the one with the scar saw something that scared him. Anna believes that it may be something more than a disease. Afterward, Anna, Morozov, and the squad of soldiers enter the station with the deputy head of research of the facility, Pyotr Kuznetsov, and also Dr. Dmitry Grigoriev, the scientists who reported the outbreak of a deadly disease in the facility. Anna tries to ask some questions about this mysterious infection, but Grigoriev refuses to give her details because he thinks they are all here with an ulterior motive. He will only help them enough so that they can get their sample and guarantee a safe evacuation for all the survivors. Anna wants to know why he even locked up the survivors in the first place, but Dr. Grigoriev doesn't answer that either. The group makes it to the elevator, where Dr. Grigoriev has to be careful when inputting the access code because getting it wrong 3 times makes the elevator crash as a security measure. Fortunately, he gets it right on the 3rd try, and they enter the elevator that will carry them all the way down to the center of the research facility, which is the deepest man-made hole in the world at a depth of 12 kilometers. However, an incident occurred in the elevator. When they arrived at the floor, the brakes did not respond. So Dr. Grigoriev increased the pressure as they were about to arrive, leaving Anna and the others unconscious and short of oxygen, while Dr. Grigoriev, who managed to put on the oxygen mask in time, fled with the elevator keys. After everyone has awoken, it appears that they have arrived at the facility's resort, which is where the staff spends the most of their time. A second elevator may transport them to the main research level, which is much below, but they can't use it without the key. It is accessible only with the key. Their present location, according to Peter, is 5 kilometers below the surface. Peter advised utilizing a different elevator nearby because the one in the vicinity is operating well. In addition to elevators, Peter informs us that there are other elevators leading to the research center or back to the surface. However, to get there, they must wear protective suits because the temperature reaches more than 200 degrees Celsius. Strolling through the facility, they find an engineer named Nikolai and a female doctor named Kira in the cafeteria, who were left behind during the initial evacuation. However, they are still unable to locate Dr. Grigoriev, who fled. As a result of the new illness epidemic in the area, Kira and Nikolai were tested by Anna at the medical lab. They failed to exhibit any signs of infection. Anna came to the conclusion that Dr. Grigoriev may have taken all the samples, indicating the emergence of a fatal sickness at the institution and for whatever reason. Because she had discovered nothing below, Anna assumed her mission was finished and requested Colonel Morozov bring her back to the surface. Anna then met Dr. Grigoriev, who begged to evacuate everyone else to the surface through the tunnel. However, he refused to give the elevator keys. Anna then shouted for the troops and informed them of what Dr. Grigoriev was about. Troops immediately came and shot Dr. Grigoriev. He got injured and fled in an elevator. Then, Colonel Morozov ordered Nikolai to stop the elevator from outside, but the guy replied that the elevator could only be operated from within. The only option left to them is to leave the tunnel as well. To discover Dr. Grigoriev, a group of troops led by Igorov will emerge through the tunnel while wearing protective suits and seize the elevator keys. When they unlocked the entrance leading to it, nevertheless, they discovered a woman who was not wearing any protective clothing within the tunnel. She was saved by the troops. Olga Krylova, a lab scientist, was then brought back to the medical lab for observation and medical examinations, while Igorov and his colleagues continued their journey to the tunnels. Before starting the checkup, Anna asked Olga some questions, but she remembered nothing of what happened down there. She showed symptoms of a fever, but she stated that she was very cold. When Anna checked her back, how shocked Anna was when she saw Olga's back was covered with a parasite growth like a fungus, which Olga claimed didn't hurt, not even when Anna made a cut to take a sample, while the soldiers claimed to have discovered some sort of life on the lower level. Anna examines the samples and finds that it is really a cellular parasite, some of which are extremely aggressive mold spores. Anna claimed that the kind of fungus that was on Olga's back was the most deadly kind. Fungus and mold are the least understood forms of life, and this one is unknown. Morozov concludes this procedure and begins to return after that, which is sufficient. Then, Anna advises that they confine Olga to a secure location. Olga's body was lying on the floor when Anna and Kira are going to move it, when Anna suddenly sensed something and told Kira to stay there while she went outside for a little while. To make the elevator come back, Nikolai starts working on the system, which would take more than an hour. Mikheev makes another attempt to get in touch with his crew, but they no longer respond to his wake-up calls and appear to be in difficulty after spotting something threatening. At that moment, Dr. Grigoriev contacts them over the speakers and informs them that they have left him with no options because he had thought they would flee via the shafts. As Anna was reminded of her own guilt and had a panic attack, Dr. Grigoriev detonated a bomb to lock everyone inside the facility while he begged for forgiveness. She also remembered the traumatic experience of her colleague, who died after receiving an injection of a vaccine that had not passed the trial stage. As they had not used the tunnel to escape to the surface, Dr. Grigoriev then declared over the intercom that he was forced to lock them all within the facility. In the laboratory, Olga's body starts to glow and she gradually loses control, blowing up the glass and assaulting Kira. While this is happening, Nikolai learns that Dr. Grigoriev sets off an explosion that damaged the facility's pressure pumps and led to its impending collapse. McKeeve gives him a blow for his lack of concern for the soldiers stuck on the lower level and his desire to find a way out. Nevertheless, Morozov agrees that it would be too risky to send those guys back, so they will be departing down the shaft. When Anna and Major Mikheev return to the lab, they discover a rather unpleasant surprise. Olga is partially melted to the floor, but still alive, and the whole space and walls are coated in mold. When Anna and Mikheev approach, Olga starts to spew a cloud of spores, so Mikheev flees the room and Anna steps back. On the other hand, Morozov doesn't care that Anna is surrounded by contamination without protection and instructs her to take samples. Fortunately, Anna can receive a gas mask, but she is soon assaulted by Kira, who has been severely infected and is mutating like Olga. And as her bones start to protrude, she dies. When Anna tries to escape the room, she stumbles and experiences another guilt-related hallucination. However, this enables her to locate a fire extinguisher. Then, after closing the doors once again, she begs Nikolai to use the extinguisher on her body to disinfect her. She uses it to purify the air around her so she may open the door without the mold escaping. As a result of Anna's discovering that mold kills when exposed to cold, she uses a fire extinguisher to exit the medical lab and decontaminate herself, even though Major Mikheev is already displaying signs of illness. When she informs everyone about Kira, Pyotr explains that the strange mold isn't supernatural, but rather similar to the fungus that takes over an ant and forces it back to its nest so it may spread its spores and infect everyone else. Anna requests a private conversation with Morozov, after which she addresses the matter with the colonel, explaining that the fungus cannot survive the frigid conditions and that the ice surrounding the facility prevents it from spreading. A fungus can only exist in a warm body, but if the host dies in a cold environment, the fungus will die as well. As Anna and her crew prepare to ascend to the surface through the tunnel in protective suits with the sick Major Mikheev, they get a radio report from Igorov indicating that he and his team are being assaulted by something enormous and scary. Igorov urged them not to open the tunnel entrance going to the lower level, even if it was just him and his squad. Soon later, gunfire sounded out, and only the troops returned, claiming to have discovered something enormous and bulletproof, and knowing exactly where they were. Before the gang locks the tunnel entrance, the final soldier returns without a hand and slashes his own throat with a knife. Whatever is in the shaft now realizes they are there and begins smashing the door in an attempt to escape. The gang flees and makes it to the back of the space just in time to see the elevator arrive. Nikolai starts working on the plan to lower it, hoping that the emergency brakes will hold. Mikheev's body begins to glow, and he realizes he doesn't have much time left, so he stays behind with his troops to try to halt the mystery monster that has finally smashed down the doors. Anna, Nikolai, Peter, and Colonel Morozov board the elevator and grip on tight as it begins to descend. Because the pressure makes it difficult for Nikolai to reach the braking level, Anna must leave her position and do it herself. Fortunately, she pulls it just in time, and the elevator safely arrives on the bottom floor, which is much cooler than they had anticipated. Anna and the others then enter a chamber where they discover a tape of Dr. Grigoriev explaining how the fungal infection started millions of years ago, but its spread was halted during the ice period. According to his findings, Dr. Grigoriev came to the conclusion that the fungal parasite not only controlled the host's body, but also gathered more infected hosts, establishing a new, larger, and more dangerous species. Anna and the others came across a wall of deceased people who had melted together and been murdered by the cold. Dr. Grigoriev indicated on the tape that he was determined to seal the facility and keep the fungal parasite hidden from the outside world so that the deadly disease epidemic produced by the fungal parasite does not spread to other areas. After listening to Dr. Grigoriev, Nikolai reminded them that it was extremely hot outside, with temperatures approaching 200 degrees, and that they needed to don a protective suit to get there. However, Dr. Grigoriev appears to have damaged all of the protective suits, preventing anybody from escaping. However, Anna discovers one last protective suit, and Colonel Morozov decides to try to get the elevator keys that Dr. Grigoriev holds. While waiting for Colonel Morozov, Anna, Peter, and Nikolai decide that even if they made it back, they should not inform anybody about the fungal parasite, since someone would ultimately try to investigate it, putting all life on Earth at risk. After a lengthy wait and the failure of Colonel Morozov to return, Anna decided to enter the scorching region without any protection, since the human body may live there for a few minutes in principle. As blisters appeared on her body, Anna found the colonel crawling toward her, but then fell down and died, because the suit had been sabotaged by Dr. Grigoriev. At least he had the elevator key in his hand. Anna immediately took the key that Colonel Morozov managed to retrieve. But before she could get out of there, Anna took off her mask, and for the first time, Anna saw the true form of a parasitic monster that infected everyone in the research facility. After Anna returns, Peter compels her to give him the key to the elevators and threatens to shoot Nikolai in the leg. Peter wishes to return to the surface and become renowned for discovering the strange species. Anna handed Peter the elevator key and they all returned upstairs. Hearing the sound of a creature groaning from a distance, Peter instructed Anna to examine the situation first before coming out of the elevator. While walking toward the elevator that would take them up to the surface, Anna discovered and stole a pistol. Anna then returns and asks Peter about Nikolai as he is pointing a pistol at her. But before Peter can kill Anna, he is ambushed by a massive monster made up of screaming infected victims that have combined into one terrible entity. Anna hurried away from there and hid in the cafeteria freezer, where she had the notion of showering her entire body with cold water before rushing to face the monster, and stealing the elevator key from Peter, who had been absorbed by the parasitic creature. When Anna finally manages to find Nikolai, she quickly locks the doors behind her and exits the mess hall. Together, they narrowly avoid the creature's onslaught, run straight for the elevators, and manage to slam the door shut just as the thing tries to enter. They take the elevator key to start their ascent back to the surface, and discover that Major McKeeve has transformed into a parasitic creature and melted to the floor as the elevator starts moving up. Major McKeeve pleads with Anna and Nikolai not to go to the surface as it will cause the death of all life on this planet. But Nikolai is adamant about getting out of the facility at any cost, and the two of them battle for control of the elevator. And when Nikolai is ready to murder Anna, Major McKeeve pushes his body to make one final attempt by raising his arm and using the exposed bone to kill Nikolai first. Before Major McKeeve changes into a parasitic creature, Anna kisses him. Anna tries to stop the elevator, recalling that entering the incorrect code 3 times will cause it to crash. She starts punching numbers, which is harder than it appears because she also has been infected and her body has started glowing, making her feel weak and in pain. As the Anna reaches the surface, she departs in a vehicle with her new staff. The elevator begins its self-destruct sequence and collapses. Anna snatches a grenade from one of the troops wearing a protective suit as she is brought to the surface and compels them to take it off while she is surrounded by soldiers. Anna then pulls the pin on the grenade when she is surrounded by troops, killing the fungal parasite inside her and concealing its presence for the protection of all life on Earth.
Subscribe for more videos like this, turn on notifications, and leave a like to help the channel out. Thank you for watching.